Hello, could you please tell us your name and something about yourself? Hello there. Yes, my name is Sue Gudenkauf, and I grew up in Iowa. I was a farm girl. My family was Catholic, and I was involved with the Catholic youth group and teens group, and my family was very strong and had a strong foundation in their faith. And now I work as an interpreter in Madison, Wisconsin. I know that you are a consecrated virgin. So I was wondering if you could explain to us what a consecrated virgin is. A consecrated virgin is, and I'll sign it as CV. Um, I don't really know the sign for that, but we'll use the initial CV. What that means is a person who is similar to a nun, but yet different in some ways. Nuns tend to live in communities with other sisters under some type of religious order, under the church, and they follow specific gifts for that community. Consecrated virgin is under the diocese. So, what that means is the bishop is in charge of the consecrated virgin. Just like the priests are under the bishop in the diocese, and the nuns are under the religious order in their community. Consecrated virgin is underneath the bishop or works for the bishop. And now understand that nuns marry to Jesus and commit their life 100% to him. And that's very much the same as what I do as a consecrated virgin. I've become his spouse. He is my husband, in effect. But I work independently. I earn my own living, I support myself, but I have a relationship with the diocese and the bishop. How did you feel your calling to become a consecrated virgin? My vocational journey is quite long, actually, about 12 years, and I really struggled with it at times. And often I even was angry with God. I grew up, I thought I would get married and have kids, family. And it just didn't seem to work for me, and I was so frustrated. It seemed like there was something in the way, something blocking me from taking that path, and I didn't know what was wrong. So I was kind of mad at God for that. But I did understand that he had a plan for me. So for many years I struggled with that. And that in itself is my cross that I bear. And I finally came to realize that he had been working on me that whole time, helping me, cleaning me, and preparing me on the inside. I wasn't ready for what he wanted or for his will. So I had to work to really, until my late 20s, maybe 28 or 29, until I finally knew and my heart was filled and was happy only in a relationship with him. I knew it, but I didn't know what that would look like. So I talked to a spiritual director over the years, and that's my cross. But it had to be in his time, because his time is only perfect. And looking back, I know that his time is only always perfect. But during the time, I didn't understand that. I felt very separated from him, and like he had left me, and I was being ignored because I didn't know what to do. So the spiritual director that I approached was at St. Ignatius, and they have 7 steps. Those 7 steps are the 7 steps of discernment. And as I was going through that, the first 3, I didn't really understand what they were in terms of how they related to me. The first one was maybe becoming married, so living a married life, or becoming part of a religious order, or a consecrated virgin. And I'd always prayed and thought about, the first one about being married and having a family life. And then I thought about the second one. And then when I started learning about the consecrated virgin, I didn't really know that that was still an option in the church, and I started reading a lot about what popes and bishops had written about it over the years, and when I was reading that, my heart just was on fire, and I that at that moment I knew that that's what he had planned for me all along, and that that was for me, and that that was my vocation, and for me alone, and it just fit. My work in the deaf community, which I just love, um, was good, but I didn't feel like I wanted to be part of a religious community. And the religious community is beautiful, but why don't I want to be part of that? I didn't understand because it was so beautiful. But then I knew that being a consecrated virgin, through prayer and through discernment and looking at those three options, that just one day in prayer, that was it. After mass, I prayed about it, and I literally felt the chains holding me down release, and I became instantly free. And I knew 100% for sure in my heart that that was it. I was no longer blind, and I could see what God was trying to show me. And I said, I will do it. I don't care. That perfect. Thank you. And I had told him before that I would do whatever he wanted, but I still was resisting inside. I wasn't 100% ready. And over time, that resistance kind of faded. And when he showed me this, and I started reading more, then I knew that that's what he meant and had planned for me. And I was so thankful because I just understood, and my heart was just on fire, and I knew that that was my calling. Why does the church consider consecrated virgins important? The church has many gifts of vocation, many of them. Married life, religious life. And in religious life, many people think it's very limiting, being a priest or a nun, and that that's all you can do. But there are other vocations as well underneath the church. There are several things. There are diocesan priests, and also priests under religious communities, sisters that live under religious communities. There are consecrated virgins, hermits. There's a whole host of different gifts that the church recognizes that people of God come in a variety of fashions, and that God gives us a variety of gifts so that we can each serve Him best, and that varies. Consecrated virgins are another way to witness to Christ and through living in the church and in my life in prayer, how I can give to Him so that He can use me or the community for whatever He sees fit. Nuns, priests are important gifts because of the sacraments and what they represent, and it's very powerful. We need nuns. We need all of the orders in the church because they're all beautiful. How many consecrated virgins are currently in the U.S.? Well, I'm not sure, but I would say between 150 and 200 in the U.S. Maybe a little bit more, I'm not sure. Some dioceses have no consecrated virgins. Some dioceses have several. Mine has 3. So it depends on the diocese, and it varies. The vocation is a very old one. It was first established in the church not long after Jesus' life. There's a lot written about consecrated virgins. There were women who followed Jesus, who abandoned the thought of married life to follow Him. But we have to understand that at that time there wasn't any such thing as a religious community. Those didn't come for a few hundred years later. And some of those women that followed Jesus ended up setting up the religious communities. And they followed specific rules and ways of life. And over the years, the number of consecrated virgins dwindled a bit, while the religious orders exploded, which has been wonderful for the church. More recently, since Vatican II, we've seen more and more consecrated virgins. As a consecrated virgin, what do you do every day? Well, I'm involved in a couple of different things: prayer and my job, work. I pray every single day. I have specific times that I pray, uh, literally for hours. But I pray 3 or 4 times a day. I have a morning prayer. I do readings in the office. I have evening prayer. I attend Mass every day. And I pray for a half hour in the morning and have quiet time with God. Because I'm married to Him, I want to have time alone with Him first. And if I put that off, then my whole day just is off. He's the foundation. My relationship with Him comes first. And that's why prayer is my number one priority. I pray the rosary every day, divine chaplet every day. And in the afternoon, I try and find a place nearby, a small chapel or church where I can go in and pray, no matter where I'm working. Because the day gets so busy, it's so easy to get distracted. And I need that redirection and need to feel grounded and connected to Him again. So I pray in the evening, and at night before bed I do my act of contrition, where I look at my mistakes or sins for the day and what my weaknesses are. And then I ask God, or tell God that I'm going to improve on those, and I ask Him for forgiveness. And I do 3 Hail Marys before I go to bed to help me stay pure. And Mary, I do my Hail Marys as well, because Pope Benedict, before he became Pope, in his writings said that Mary was actually the first consecrated virgin, which means that I need to follow in her footsteps as much as possible so that God can help me become more like her every day. You said that you pray a lot. Do you pray for people? And if you do, who do you pray for? There are 2 types of prayers that I have that are priority. I first pray for priests and then for families. And I do that because the world is in such struggle right now. Families are dissolving, relationships are in strife. And I know that families have to stay strong, and you have to have a strong marriage. And it's hard raising a family when parents have to work. They don't have the energy to go 24/7. So I pray that we can support them. And that's part of my calling. And then I pray for the priests, because they are the backbone of the church and of our spiritual life. They give us the sacraments. If the family's strong, then we have good priests. And if we have good priests, we have strong families. So both of those go hand in hand, and they're priority for my prayers. And people ask me to pray for them, and of course I do honor those wishes as well. Can deaf women become consecrated virgins? Oh, absolutely, they could become consecrated virgins. I don't know of any deaf women that are here, but maybe there are in some other countries that I'm not aware of at this time. It really depends on your diocese, where you live. It's best to have a good spiritual direction and discernment and look at where God calls you and what He calls you to do, whether it's married life, religious life, as a consecrated virgin, as a nun. Let God speak to you and speak to your heart. And talk with your spiritual director and get some guidance. Talk with the diocese and see what their process is for doing it, because each diocese does it a little bit differently. Because remember, it's kind of a new thing again. It would be wonderful. We would love to have some deaf consecrated virgins, absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to say to people that are watching our interview today? Well, I think that wherever you are right now in your life, that it takes time to be with God and to allow Him in, to allow Him to speak to you. And often we get so busy that we don't allow Him to speak to us and to our soul and to our heart. And secondly, I think that it's important that we have to learn about Mary, because Mary is really the perfect model. Look who her son is. She lived that purity. And she set up all these examples that we're supposed to follow. Plus, she was a mother. She teaches us to become more like her. Maybe I'm a spiritual mother. I may not bear children, but I'm a spiritual mother in that I help take care of people. And Mary will help lead you where Jesus needs you and to bring you closer to God. Thank you so much for doing this interview. God bless you. I was happy to do it. Thank you.